for everybody in the organization, our players, coaches, to respond, the right way to, the things that we need to fix. We have to be technical in the way we approach the players and how we can fix it. And, they have to be receptive and trying to do things and pay attention to detail and do things the right way and understand how that's going to affect their performance, when the game comes. So, that's our number one, goal and objective, for today. Mississippi State is really a much improved team. They're playing really well right now. Their offense is like, one of the top 5 in the country in terms of pass offense. They throw the ball, 56, 57 times a game. So this is going to be a real challenge, for our defense. Their defense is very good at stopping the run. They're like 3rd in the SEC overall. They're very aggressive in the way they play. The players are really playing well together. So, they play a little different kind of front, 3-3 stack type thing, which, creates some, preparation, things that we need to do a good job on. They've got really good skilled players on offense. They've got a couple of receivers that have been very productive. Will Rogers has played really well for them. He's very accurate with the ball. He understands the offense. He's been very consistent in the way he's played, throughout the season. I think they can run the ball a little bit better than they could a year ago. So, that's a challenge when you throw it as much as they do. And they're very aggressive and good on special teams, even though their kicker has been injured. I don't know if he'll continue to be injured. But it kind of is a challenge all the way around. I think the big thing for us is, we got to take care of our business, correct our things, do the things that we need to do to be able to play, the way, we want to play. So, and there's obviously some things that we need to do better.
Okay, with that, we'll start with Cecil Hurt. Cecil?
Coach, in the style of offense that Mike Leach runs, how much can you wear out your own defensive line trying to get to him when the ball's going to come out in a second or two every time?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any question about the fact that you got to rotate players and keep a lot of fresh players in the game. You got to rush 3 guys sometimes. You got to rush 4 guys sometimes. You got to rush 5 guys sometimes. I think you got to mix it up and try to disguise what you're doing. But there's no question about the fact that it's more taxing for a defensive lineman to play against a passing play and exert the kind of effort you have to have in pass rush as opposed to what you may have to do on a running play. So it's a space game. I also think that, the defensive linemen have to run more on a lot of their perimeter and short passes because, that's the kind of game it is. Sometimes when they throw it, it's nothing more than, a quick pitch, and everybody needs to be rallying and leveraging the ball.
Okay, we'll go to Michael.
Hey, what kind of things did Texas A&M do defensively in the red zone that made it difficult to run the ball?
I don't know that there's a good answer to that. I don't know if we, challenged them running it as much as maybe we could. And, that's one of the things that I think we need to work on trying to improve on.
We'll go to Charlie Potter. Charlie?
Hey, Coach, how would you assess your defense's ability to put pressure on the quarterback in the last game, and how do you think you can improve in that area?
Yeah, well, we didn't do a great job of it. They were very smart about a lot of bunch formations, not many spread out formations. They 7-man protected some, then they free released the back, kept the tight end and blocked. So they were very protection conscious, and we didn't get the kind of pressure that we want. But I think a lot of times you need to create the kind of third down situations where the best opportunity to get pressure is in those situations. As much as they were trying to run the ball, and especially early in the game, they ran it effectively. We were calling more run-type stunts, which don't necessarily give you the kind of pass rush you'd like to have in some circumstances, but it's definitely something that we need to improve on.
We'll go to Nick Kelly with Tuscaloosa.
Going to the other side, in terms of giving up pressure from your line, I mean, it looked like when they would overload a side that you guys had some troubles there. I mean, what did you learn looking at the film in terms of how you guys can improve when they overload on one side rushing at Bryce?
Yeah, I think, most of the issues were created by communication, or I guess you could say lack of communication. They did give us some different looks, which we need to adjust to. The quarterback, the running back, the offensive line all have to communicate and get on the same page. And I think we did a little better job of picking things up in the second half than we did in the first half. So we did make the adjustments that we needed to make. But it was an issue, especially in the first half, I think when we got sacked 3 times or something like that. And we didn't communicate very well on who's sliding to who and how we're picking things up.
We'll go to Aaron Suttle.
How do you think John Metchie has done this year, sort of progressing to the #1 receiver?
John's battled, some injury things going into the season, that were kind of carry over from last season. He's worked very hard to try to, get things right. And I think that, he's done a good job. I think that the more he can practice and the more that we can develop the kind of timing in the passing game that we'd like to, that would probably be beneficial to his performance as well as, our productivity with him. So, but he's doing everything that he can do to contribute to the team.
We'll go to Mike Rodak.
You had mentioned after Bryce threw his interception against Ole Miss that maybe he was a little bit frustrated with that one. What did you see after his interception in this game, those couple drives after that, both on the field and on the sideline?
Well, we didn't run a very good route, on the one that he threw, but I thought he stayed focused, didn't get upset, and played well in the game under the circumstances. I think we handled the noise better. I think his reads were pretty good for the most part. Nobody's perfect when it comes to accuracy, but I thought he did a pretty good job in that regard. So I thought he kept his poise and really stayed focused on the next play, and I didn't think that affected him.
We'll go to Joey Blackwell.
Hey, Coach, I'm just curious, what is your approach in speaking to your players in the locker room after losses, and do you use that as kind of a jump start to setting the tone for preparation for the next week's game?
Well, I think that, players have to remember how they feel when they don't have success, and I think they got to remember how that feels. And then I also think that they have to think about, well, how did what we did sort of contribute to this feeling that I have, and then what am I willing to do to fix it, basically is, the message. So, and when I say how do we respond to this, that's what I'm talking about. How do you respond to the feeling that you had when you didn't have success, and what are you willing to do to fix it?
We'll go to Stephen.
Coach, when you say, don't waste a failure, now, what does that mean in your eyes for this team? What should that mean to not waste a failure?
Well, I think that what it means, very simply, is sometimes the best lessons you learn are when you do have failings. And you can always learn more when you don't do something exactly right. And it's human nature to be more willing to learn when things don't go right. So I think you don't want to waste the opportunity that when you did things that weren't successful, how could I improve on those things so that I become a better player. My performance is better. It helps the team more. So when I say don't waste a failing, it's not getting frustrated with the fact that you failed. It's your response to the failure and how you can sort of correct it and do it better the next time.
Okay, we got two more, Tony and then Cecil.
Yeah, Nick, we saw Brian Robinson the last 2 weeks get the overwhelming amount of carries. Is that a hot hand thing, or is that kind of you have to lean on him more just considering the depth?
No, I think that B-Rob's played really, really well the last 2 weeks, really well. He's been an outstanding performer for us. And we have confidence in the other guys, and we want to play the other guys. So, and we're going to continue to try to use B-Rob and help him be as effective as possible, and he's been extremely effective in the last 2 games, but also utilize the talents of the other players maybe more and more as we go on.
Okay, we'll finish up with a follow-up from Cecil.
Coach, you didn't have Drew Sanders available. You almost immediately didn't have Malachi Moore available. How much did that affect you defensively?
Well, I think that anytime you lose starters that have experience, that have, it's got to have some impact and effect on you. I didn't think that, we sort of adjusted and played the way we need to play in the back end. How much of that was contributed to Malachi going out, and how much it's just every individual needs to improve their ability to perform with a little more consistency in terms of mostly technique type things is something that's hard to sort of put a value on. But when you have players that have experience, experience is just what it means. They had opportunities to go out there and make mistakes and learn from it and grow from it and become more consistent. And when players are less experienced, then sometimes they learn and grow as they go. And so it's never good to lose experienced players.